Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the nerdiest competition ever created by the Language of Bromance team. In this corner, obsessed with Star Wars and anything with swords, Richard! And in this corner, obsessed with the Ninja Turtles and scared of anything from the ocean, Shawn! Brought to you as a Pod Bros exclusive in association with the LOB Army. Tonight's competition is a Language of Bromance draft.
What's up, everybody? I'm Richard while Shawn is in mid-drink.
And I'm Shawn.
And we're speaking the Language of Bromance. Shawn, that was a big swig. That was a manly swig.
Yeah, well, and we're actually not really doing a manly show today because we are doing a Fomance episode.
Yeah.
A draft episode.
I think it would be fair to say that that the drafts are far more manly than the other things that we talk about.
Probably. But we're going to do the Buffy moment draft, bitches!
Yeah.
So what we're going to do today, Richard, in honor of...
Long time coming.
20 years plus 1 month, because we're a little behind.
Well, it's not that we're behind. It's just that there's other things that took precedence.
Well, and we wanted to extend the anniversary celebration.
Yeah, we don't let the party die. That's what it is.
So what we're going to do for this draft is we're going to draft our Buffy moments. So these are scenes or kind of situations that have happened in the Buffy universe. All mine are just Buffy, so in the Buffy universe.
All mine are just Buffy, too.
Okay, so the Buffy seasons, and we're going to flip-flop picks back and forth to see what we like. So we could have the same episodes because there could be multiple moments. But if you don't know what our drafts are, what they are 7 rounds where Richard and I will flip-flop picks back and forth on the topic at hand. When we did this thing back in the day, we flipped a penny to see who won, and I did. So on odd drafts, I get the first pick. Even drafts, Richard gets the first pick. And since this is an odd draft, Richard, I get the honors. I get the Buffy honors because I am the chosen one.
The 30-year-old man. You're the chosen one.
Every draft, there's a chosen one.
He alone will stand against another guy and pick 7 things.
So, Richard, for my first round pick, I had a tough time picking things out. Most of mine, I think, are fairly emotional picks.
Of course they are.
Yeah.
You're such a dainty flower.
This one, I think, really sets up the relationship between Giles and Buffy.
Okay.
This happens about the midway point of season 2. And we all know the first season was like 7 or 14 episodes, and the second season was a full season.
Mm-hmm.
And in this episode, this was the one where her friend from her old school comes to visit, and he ends up having like cancer or something. So he has that underground vampire cult.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There's the kids, and then they're having they're having like the little party down in the.
Yeah, and he tries to set her up with Spike so that he kills her and makes him a vampire. But
oh, that's right.
So the part that gets me is it's right at the end. So the guy comes back to life and she kills him, and she's talking to Giles. Like, I think this is like a great life lesson moment type thing. It's like, and it really sets up the relationship between the two. This like father-daughter relationship.
Okay.
So Richard, I'm gonna go with season 2, episode 7, "Lie to Me," and I'm calling this the "Does Life Get Easy?" So the scene goes, she just kills him and they're walking away, and Buffy asks, like, well, does it ever get easy? And Giles is like, you mean life? He says, yeah, does it get easy? And he says, well, what do you want me to say? And she says, lie to me. And so as they're cutting away as he's leaving, she's like, yes, it's terribly simple. The good guys are always stalwart and true. The bad guys are easily distinguished by their pointy horns or black hats, and we always defeat them and save the day. No one ever dies, and everybody lives happily ever after. And right before it cuts to
liar. You didn't read that at all in an English accent. And I think that is what we call a missed
opportunity. I would ruin it.
Opportunity.
Yeah, but I had to start up by, hello, governor, and I'd ruin it.
I'm a Roy Cockney. La, 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 la.
But I think, like, when I was trying to figure out, like, what Buffy moment stood out, that's one that always stood out to me. It's kind of like the Serenity, out of gas episode. Like, it just is this great moment between these two characters. And it really sets up, like, the whole relationship. Like, Giles isn't just her watcher. Giles is, like, her father figure. He cares for her. He loves her. And in this moment, like, she's just had to kill her friend from school, somebody she had a crush on that she used to listen to I Touch Myself to before she knew what the words meant. And, he tries to lie to her. He tries to lighten the mood, and I think he does somewhat successfully.
Yeah, I mean, he's constantly set up as the father figure, which is, I mean, is it tropey? Yeah, but I mean, I think that the thing that you don't give this show enough credit for is the fact that, like, this was like a mid-season pickup, and it was a WB like show, and this is a show that was geared towards kids that were my age when they were my age. Like, Buffy was 1 year older than I was.
Wow, I was at the right age for this. I was like 13 or 14. And, like, Sarah Michelle Gellar, like, real life is only a year or two older than you, I think. Like, she's only a few years older than me.
Yeah. So, I mean, the show was geared smack at my age group. So, and I remember at the time, I was like, I don't want to watch this show. It's a show for girls. It's like a soap opera. It's stupid. Things are stupid. And then, like...
Yeah, you feel dumb now, don't you?
Yeah, so dumb. Although, yes, I feel dumb that, like, I had to discover it and go back and be like, oh my God, why the fuck didn't I watch this show? But at the same time, I'm kind of glad because then I didn't have to wait week to week. I didn't get into Buffy until I think it was just right as season 5 was ending.
Okay. So right as it was switching networks.
Yeah. And so I had the benefit of going back and I own physically seasons 1 through 7.
I know, I had to borrow some of them from you.
Yeah.
Well, I think the reason I picked this out is, again, it's just Buffy. You only see her dad in this TV show like what, a handful of times, if that, like maybe twice,
2 or 3, and I think one of them it's a dream sequence.
I think so. Yeah, 2 could have been dream sequences.
It could have been, but was it?
Yeah.
There's one that it could have been, but was it?
But you don't know for sure.
You don't. Yeah, you're not sure. It's a whole Inception thing, and it fucks with your head.
But I mean, this is a coming of age kind of tale too, because, like, she's dealing with all these things on top of being a teenage girl, and she's looking for guidance. Like, I mean, at this age, I mean, like, every kid is like, just lie to me and tell me, like, life is gonna be okay.
Oh,
I'm not going to be a 30-some-year-old failed podcaster, right? Oh, now it just got real.
Yeah.
Next pick is when she killed Angel, like my mom did my dreams.
Shawn just decided to get out the reality stick and whack me in the head with it, you bastard. No, what I was going to say is that, so the show it was designed to be essentially a show for teenagers, and now I mean, we're looking back at it with this critical eye in our 20s and 30s, and going like, oh, that show was so sophisticated and so smart. But I mean, some of the things, it's like, oh, well, they kind of beat you over the head with the father figure that Giles is supposed to be. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of how the show, like, you want, like, people say, yeah, they're beating you over the head with a few of the tropes of television, but it's a TV. Number 1's TV show, and number 2, it was designed for a teenage market. Like, essentially, it's like what that other that stupid ass show that my daughter watches. What is it? That Pretty Little Liars. It's like that. It's a soap opera.
Oh, I haven't seen that one. But anyway, so for my first round pick, I'm going to go with what sets up this relationship with Giles and Buffy. Season 2, Episode 7, Lie to Me. Does life get easy? Richard, does life get easy?
No. No. I won't lie to you. So you like to pick more emotional moments. I'm here to give people what they want. You know what they want, Shawn? They want the funny and they want the badass moments. That's what they want. And that's what I'm going to give them. That's what I'm going to give them with my first pick. My first pick, we're going to go with we'll start off with the funny. All right, Shawn. My first round pick. Shawn, when you think about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, when you think about your top favorite episodes in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, what usually climbs to the top of that list?
Hush.
There it is.
Once more
see
feeling.
Right there. No, you stop right there. Hush. Okay. You know why? Because it's a television show. What's television show based on? People doing this,
talking.
Especially when you're talking about a show written by a great writer. Like, what's a great writer want to do? He wants to show off his fucking writing. So knowing that, what does our great writer do? He's like, you know what? I'm just going to make an episode without words. And then we'll just see what happens. So Shawn, the moment I'm going for, people are like, where's the funny in that episode? It's a bunch of guys that wander around and cut people's hearts out. Shawn, the funny comes in the exposition. The large exposition scene in Hush, where everyone is gathered in one of the classrooms, and Giles is standing in front of the overhead projector and is about to do what he does in every Monster of the Week episode, where he explains what the monster is and explains how to kill it, and everybody comes up with a plan of how to defeat the monster and save the day. So what is the first thing that Giles does? Puts on a little moon music. So there's violins going in the background. This little classical da 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 ba da 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 da, and then he starts putting up overhead slides.
You know what he does with the first one, Richard? Puts it backwards. What's awesome too is it's an overhead projector. Like, those don't even exist now.
Right? Yeah, tell me what kid knows exactly what that thing is now. They don't.
Nope. No clue.
So he's like, oh, what do they want? And then Willow's like, points at her chest. And then Xander's like...
Yeah, Xander perks up.
Boobies? Hearts. Oh, right.
Well, I love, too, in the back, Anya is just eating popcorn the whole time.
Yeah. So... But the moment that really had me going was when Xander writes on his little whiteboard. He says, "How do we kill them?" And what does Buffy do? She takes her hand and makes a fist and goes,
Great visuals for the podcast.
Right.
She starts gyrating it up and down.
Yeah, and then everybody's looking at her.
Like, what? We jerk them off? Like dolphins? Like frisky dolphins?
And I love and Willow's like trying not to make eye contact. She's like, "Oh no, oh my, how lascivious." And so then she picks up a steak and does the same thing, and they're like, "Oh."
Then Giles is like, "No, that won't work. No mortal weapon will kill them." Totally had that on my list.
And then he also took the time to draw a bunch of slides of the victim being completely sliced open and the heart pulled out and there's blood everywhere.
He spent a lot of time drawing those. Like, he could have been doing some research.
Could have been. So, but that is the scene where you get comedy and you get performance without a single word being spoken.
And
you
giggles.
get exactly what you would get out of any other, big exposition scene from a regular Buffy episode, Monster of the Week, where it's, okay, this is the problem. This is what we can do. And so this is what we're going to do. Like, you get all that, but you get it without a single word, which shows that maybe you don't need words, which is not what you want to hear in a podcast. Maybe you don't. Maybe we don't need to talk.
We're like, next episode, we're going to do one without any words. Everybody's like, "Aw, you people are rude."
It's going to be an hour of.
Good pick.
And then we laugh.
Good pick. I had that on my list. I definitely had that on my list.
I'm curious to know who's stealing what's.
Well, that's what
There's going to be some thefts. There will be thefts.
Oh, for sure. I felt like this was one I had. Like, usually what I do for these drafts, I pick 14 things in case you pick all mine. This one I had 15, and I feel like I still could have added more.
Oh, yeah. I was doing okay. The last 3, I had to, like, kind of go through. Like, I just kind of in my head, I'm like, okay, big things I remember in season 1, things I remember in season 2. I kind of went season by season. But, like, when I did that, like, I wrote them down. But I'm sure I could easily just go, okay, were there other ones? Oh, yeah, there was
Yeah, there's still like plenty of moments if I like started like reading back through the episode, stuff would pop back in my head for sure.
Right.
All right, Richard. So for my second round pick, again, I have most of my funny later in this draft, but I had to go with this iconic moment. Buffy and her mother, right?
Yeah.
Well, I can't remember what's her first name. I always remember her just as Mrs.
Joyce.
Joyce, thank you. Joyce Summers. Like, she was a big part of this show.
Was.
You know, she finds out that Buffy's a vampire slayer. She supports her.
Well, first she kicked her out of the house.
Yeah, but they rekindle it. They get back together as mother and daughter.
They get back together.
She almost marries a robot or has sexual relations with a robot.
They have a zombie party.
But Richard, this part is a sad part, but I think this shows just the greatness of this show. It's season 5. Episode 16.
Okay.
No bad guys in this episode whatsoever. No magic whatsoever in this episode.
Okay, wait. Before you say anything, I just want you to know that I deliberately left this off of my list because I didn't want to talk about it.
I went back and rewatched this scene, Richard, and I almost cried.
Yeah.
So this is the body. Right?
It's fucking rough.
So you see Buffy come home, and like multiple times she's walking by the living room. You see Joyce just laying on the couch.
It's intentionally the whole episode is intentionally uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, it's the most realistic episode ever.
Like, you're watching it going, should I be watching this? Like, you feel weird almost, like it's something you're not supposed to be watching. Like,
Yeah. Well, I think the reason this resonates, like whenever I think of Buffy, this is one of the episodes that always pops up to my head first. I think because around this time was like a year or so after my grandma passed away.
Okay. Oh God, did you walk in?
No. She passed away in the hospital. But I'll tell you the part that like reminded me, like I had these exact thoughts whenever like similar to this. So like Buffy walks in, she sees her mom there, and she just says like, "Mom, mommy."
Yeah.
Oh, it's just like, oh. And so the thing that like resonates me with a lot is too, so like she calls 911, and there's a little scene in there where she like envisions like the paramedics coming in time and like just saving her and like all that stuff. And you're like, oh great, she's alive. Like whenever I heard about my grandma passing away, like those were the thoughts I had. Like, oh, you know, we found everything just in time. You know, they were able to save her, and you know she's gonna be okay. And then it snaps right back into reality. And the other part that like after I watched this was, so she's on the phone with with 911, and she goes up and she says she's cold.
Yeah.
And
they say,
yeah, and the person on the line says, the body, and she's like, no, my mom, she's cold. And it's just this such a realistic, like, you know, there's other moments in that episode. I mean, like when Xander punches a hole in the wall. Yeah. You know, they're all like, it's got to be the bad person's who did this, and it's like it's just natural. Like she had a aneurysm, right, or something like that.
Yeah, she had a brain aneurysm. But I'm glad I'm glad it happened. I'm glad that happened. I'm glad that it wasn't. I'm glad that the one thing that took her out, it wasn't like a monster, and it wasn't, you know, it just happens.
Well, you're not expecting that in that show. I think when that happened too, like I don't know if anybody was expecting it to happen.
Yeah, I totally agree, because you would think that, you know, for the drama of it, that it would be, oh, big evil monster comes and takes them out. But you don't get that.
Yeah, I mean, this is a show that's all about like mythical things, and there's a handful of episodes where it's just like this is like real life.
Yeah.
There's the bell tower one with I can't remember what the kid's name was who's
Jonathan
gonna shoot himself. Like, it's just like real life stuff,
Yeah.
and you don't expect that in the show. And I think that hits you like a ton of bricks, even more so, because there's shows like we've talked about the This Is Us show. Like, that's a more realistic world thing. So the stuff that happens, you're like, oh, okay, that's realistic. Like this, you're not expecting her to walk in on her mom passing away,
right,
without like a vampire killing her or something like that.
Yeah. And but like I said, like, I'm glad that is how it happened.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah,
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
So I mean, I know it's a downer thing, but it
is a downer.
It's just a well done episode, in the sense of like, everybody I think can relate to this, and it's one of those things like, again, a time of my life.
You're just gonna give me a series of down notes. That's what you're gonna give me. You're just going to be Dorothy Downer this entire draft.
And then she stabbed Angel and sent him to hell.
Then you know what? And that's going to be your downfall. That's going to be your downfall. This is how I'm going to win. Because people are going to look at your list and be like, hey, fucking emo kid, knock your shit off. I'm gonna go with the funny guy. I'm gonna go with the guy that's trying to put some joy into my life.
I just want real feelings, Richard, and that's what you get with this episode.
I don't want to deal with raw emotions. That's why I'm watching a fucking television show about a vampire slayer.
So for my second pick, I'm going with season 5, episode 16, The Body.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, I'll also go with season 5. For my second pick, I had a funny moment. Now I'm going to go with a badass moment. I'm going to go with a very badass moment, in my opinion, where you see something that that visually is jarring for a second, and then as the season of season 5 progresses, then it gets crazier and crazier. But Shawn, for the moment that I'm picking is going to be the first appearance of the villain in season 5, and that would be Glory.
Okay, I didn't think that's what you're going for, but so I don't quite remember the first appearance of Glory. What?
Okay, so starts out with the monks, or is it yeah, it's monks, and they're running and they're trying to get away from this thing, and it's kind of teased earlier where you're like, what the fuck, like this, this big evil crazy monster is apparently after him, but you don't see it, and then you see this big giant metal door that this monk is hiding behind, and you see the thing start to get dented in, like something is punching through a door. Okay, then all of a sudden you have that, it's almost like the entrance of a comic book supervillain. Like the door flies off its hinges and goes flying across the room, and there's brick and mortar flying everywhere. And who do you see on the other side? You see like a chick in her 20s.
Yeah, I kind of remember. Like, I'm thinking like Slayer or something.
Like, yeah, I think that's almost your first thought is like, what? Huh? Like, you're thinking big evil monster, but no, it's a girl in a dress and heels, and totally beats the ever-loving shit out of Buffy on that first fight. For the first few fights, actually.
Well, she never really beats her, right? I mean, she does pretty well at the end.
And Buffy keeps her at bay long enough to get out of whatever situation she's in when it comes to fighting Glory until the end. And you're right, at the very end, at the season finale, she manages to beat her down. But I mean, that took Willow going into her head, that took her holding that orb, and that drained a bunch of her power. Then she got hit with a wrecking ball, an actual wrecking ball, and then Buffy beat the shit out of her with a hammer.
That's right.
But yeah, but the first appearance of Glory, she comes through the wall, and then Buffy says something to her and she hits her. And as soon as she hits Buffy and Buffy hits a wall, and she's like, as soon as she like kind of looks up, like her eyes go wide, like, holy shit, what is this? That is my moment. That's a badass moment. And like I said, it's a weird juxtaposition because in all these seasons up till now, it's been big evil vampire or crazy cyborg monster or 30-foot tall snake, and now you have a woman in her like I said, probably early 20s.
Isn't she like a demigod? Is that what she is?
She's a god.
A god?
She is a god. Yeah. And then Buffy's talking to the Watchers Council. She's like, oh, just tell me what I'm fighting. What kind of demon? And they're like, she is not a demon. And she's like, oh? And they're like, she's a god. And she's like, oh. So, yeah. There's my moment. The first appearance of what I think was probably the coolest Buffy villain. The coolest Buffy villain of a season for me was Glory. Better than Adam.
Yeah, Adam was like only halfway in that season too. Like he was
better than Adam. I'd say better than the mayor. I mean, the mayor was more insidious, and I did like the mayor. But Glory, you had this sense that there's a chance that there's a serious chance people are going to get hurt.
Yeah.
She ate Tara's head. Tara was all like crazy girl because she made Tara go insane.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I remember she put her fingers in Tara's head, and then Tara went crazy pants. So, spoilers.
All right, so for my third round pick, Richard, I'll bring a little bit of funny. This is going to be season 3, episode 16, Doppelgangland, Richard. This is where we get to see Vampire Willow in the real world. And Vampire Willow was sexy.
Yes, she was.
This was like
a little gay.
I was like 15 years old at this point. But the part I'm going to go with, so this is where...
And I think I'm a little gay.
Yeah. Well, that's where that's actually the part I'm picking is when... Yeah, when he comes out of the thing... or she comes out of the thing and escapes, and they save Willow. Willow's like, you know what? I think I might be a little gay. And Buffy's like, that's just a vampire. Like that's the vampire thing, the no soul. And Angel's like, well, there's actually a little bit of Buffy gives him the finger, kind of like, just shut up, just. But that's a good. That plants the seed that Willow bats both ways.
What season was that in? Was that in 3?
Season 3, yeah.
So maybe they had already figured all that out. Maybe they were already like, yeah. Let's foreshadow right here.
Well, I think they had a pretty good idea of where they wanted the show to go because, it was like season 4 or 5. They had the first evil. He was in that, or she, or whatever it was.
Yeah, but I mean, I had the sense that by the time they got to season 7, I had the sense that I don't. Do you think that the putting the first evil in that episode in season 3? Do you think they did that with the intention of like, hey, when we do season 7, let's make him the bad guy?
I think at some point, I don't know if they would have said exactly season 7, but I think the idea was at some point later in the episodes they were going to bring him back. Like maybe the long game was like, if we ever have like the last season, this will be our bad guy because it'll tie it up pretty well. So I could see it.
Okay. I mean, I guess I could see it. I don't know. I guess I just don't think people think that far ahead because I wouldn't.
But I mean, I love this because, like I said, plants the seed. It brings Vampire Willow back into the world. Like I think it was season 2 where she first appeared on the Wish episode, and you have Vampire Willow and Vampire Xander.
Yeah. My favorite. It's from that, but my favorite is when real Willow fakes to be Vampire Willow, and then she fakes it horribly, and then she's like, I'm evil. Look at my outfit.
So for my third round pick, I'm gonna go with season 3, episode 16, Doppelgangland.
You know what? Actually, I'll throw some emotion in here for you, Sean. I'll help make you feel better. This isn't a down. This is not a down moment. This is an up moment. And it's a very revealing moment. In your first pick, you were talking about the relationship between Buffy and Giles and what that relationship means and what it is. I'm going to tell you about a relationship that I feel was more ambiguous. Not really ambiguous, but a relationship that started as one thing and then eventually transitioned into something else, but finally got clearly defined in the finale of season 4. I'm talking about the relationship between Buffy and Xander.
Okay.
So obviously the whole show starts out with Xander's got a thing for Buffy. Like that's the trope there. Xander is the eternally friend-zoned guy that doesn't want to be friend-zoned, right? And it starts out like he's super frustrated about it, and then that slowly starts to come down. And then season 2, it kind of goes, it kind of wavers up and down. Then Xander starts a relationship with Cordelia, and things go one way, and things get weird with Willow, and drama. Okay, but by the end of season 3 into season 4, then Xander's hanging out with Anya, but Anya does have a sense of jealousy as to Xander's feelings for Buffy, and it's never really clear. By the time you get to the end of season 4, the finale of season 4, you're still like, you still know what the boundaries are in their relationship. Like, Xander's eternally friend-zoned, but you're never exactly sure how he feels about it until you get to the finale in season 4, which is Restless is the name of the episode. And it's the whole episode is dream sequences between all of our characters. So you go to Xander's dream sequence, and it gets to a point where he walks onto a playground, and he's talking to Buffy, and he says to her, he said, "Buffy, you sure you want to be playing in that? It's a pretty big sandbox." And then it pans to her, and she's in the desert, and she says, "I'm okay. It's not coming for me yet." Because they're talking about the looming monster that's coming after them in these dream sequences.
Which is like the first Slayer, right?
Right. So she's like, "It's okay. It's not coming for me yet." And then Xander says to her, "I'm just saying, I can't protect you from some stuff." And she says to him, "I'm way ahead of you, big brother." And then he looks at her and he says, "Brother." And then there's just silence and music just to let that sink in, because that is when the relationship between the two of them is finally defined. And from that point forward, you don't question Xander's feelings towards Buffy, and you don't think that, and you actually at that point you're like, why is Anya so jealous about his relationship with Buffy? Because it doesn't affect them at all. It doesn't affect Xander's relationship with Anya at all. Anya's the one that makes it an issue. And the whole thing, and it gets codified for the audience in just that little 10 seconds.
The realization that, yeah, this is a brother-sister type relationship.
The realization that is exactly what the relationship is.
That's a good point.
It gets clearly defined for the entire season, or for the entire
series.
That's
a good point. You don't see him like really like going after Buffy or longing for Buffy any more than like a protector brother type of thing. Yeah.
And it all stops. I mean, it kind of cools down after, I'd say, like, definitely after season 2 to 3-ish. But season 4, I mean, you don't really see anything at all that makes you think that Buffy or that Xander has some sort of feeling for her, other than whatever. But it's that finale that it finally gets put in words what their relationship is, and that's what it is for the rest of the show.
That was always a weird episode because they'd already killed the big bad like the week before.
Oh, I
And then
loved it.
this one came out, and I don't remember watching it live. I think I watched it like my second viewing of all the seasons, because I'm like, oh yeah, there's this episode that happened after the fact that I don't remember much of, and then you rewatch it. It's just kind of trippy and weird, but it was really really good.
Oh, I loved it.
I don't even know of another TV show that's done something like that, where the season finale was really the week before, and the season finale didn't have anything to do with the actual season as much as the series.
Right. And the my favorite bit in that episode, of course, has to be the guy with cheese.
Yeah.
The guy, because I listened to it with a commentary, and Joss said you got to put that in there because there's always one part in a dream that makes absolutely no sense. And that's why that's there, because in anytime you have like a dream, like sometimes things connect and there's, you can understand where things came from, but there's always one bit in a dream that you're like, why is there a guy with cheese? That makes no sense. There's always got to be one thing in there that makes absolutely no sense. So there's no hidden meaning behind the guy with the cheese slices or anything. He's deliberately put in there to be absurd.
That's funny. It's a good pick. I like that one. All right, so for my 4th round pick, Richard, I want to bring in a little funny, and I'm going to stick around on Xander as well.
Oh, okay.
So this is season 4, episode 4. This takes place in a fraternity house during Halloween.
Oh, okay.
And so to set up the scene, this is a whole, like, these college guys, find a symbol from a book, they draw it. I think blood gets spilt on it or something or whatever to activate it. And when you go in there, like, all your worst dreams come true, right? Your nightmares come to life. And Giles breaks in, and they figure, like, to make this demon show themselves, you have to break the symbol. And so they do that, and this demon is standing there. He's creepy looking. He's like, I am so-and-so. Bow before me. And then they pan up, and the demon's like 2.5 inches. And so Xander, like, they're laughing at this, and Xander looks down. He's like, who's a little fear demon? Come on, who's a little fear demon? And Giles pipes up. He's like, don't taunt the fear demon. Xander jumps back. He's like, why? Can it hurt me? Giles replies back, no, it's just tacky. I love that scene because, like, you see the fear, like, he does it, and you're like, oh, that's a bad idea. And even Giles like, no.
And also it's this, like, it's a build up the whole episode. Like, this thing's like killing people and like big scary voice and
bow before me. And then Giles reads the book and it says, oh, blah 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 in Latin. It's like, what's that mean? Actual size.
Actual size, because it has the little picture.
But I love that because, I mean, it's just true to Xander's character. Like, he jumps, like, he's like, oh, okay, I'm safe, so I'm going to make fun of this thing. And then he's like, oh, shit, wait, am I going to die? Like, is it going to kill me? That's a great. You get Giles, this isn't really my pick specifically, but Giles busting through the door with a chainsaw.
Yeah, and they put that in the credits.
Oh, yeah, they did,
Remember they put that in the opening credits? And I was like, yeah, because he does. He kind of looks like Van Helsing there.
Giles is a badass.
Because he's got the coat with the little half cape. Giles is a badass.
I always, like you said, they had...
Like, I don't think he gets enough credit. Like you want to talk about a spinoff episode? Young Giles would be an amazing fucking spinoff. Because then you got him, like, being a fucking, like...
rebel?
Evil guy.
Summoning demons.
Being a rebel. Summoning demons and shit. And then he joins the Watchers.
He's the outcast, the Watcher, too. He's the badass. They put him in the back. He's like, whatever.
I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about you or you. Fuck you, Watchers.
Looks like a nice day for a
Watcher. Watch this. You wankers. You fucking cunts.
Giles, you're not doing very good here. This is prestigious here. Prestige this, you cunts.
Why can't you be more like Wesley?
So my pick for 4th is season 4, episode 4, 444, Richard. Fear itself. Xander makes fun of the demon.
Okay. Should I go with a badass moment or should I go with funny? Shawn, you want funny or you want badass?
Give me some badass.
Okay. All right, here you go. Badass moment. Now, I wasn't a huge fan of season 7. I think mainly because, show's kind of coming to a close and it's, it's hard to see it go. There are some badass moments in there, But for me, the penultimate. I mean, you had the cool villain. Don't get me wrong, cool villain. But the badass moment for me in season 7 was when Buffy, after fighting and everybody telling her she's full of shit, and and then she gets kicked out of her own house. Sean, she's kicked out of her own house. She has an idea and nobody wants to listen to her. Nobody believes her. Nobody believes in her. So she goes it alone. And what's she do, Sean? She finds an axe.
A metal axe. A badass axe.
A metal axe. Looks like it's straight out of a fucking Iron Maiden video. Like right from an Iron Maiden fucking album cover. She sees that thing and it's almost like this, and it's set in a stone, like it's fucking Excalibur. And then Nathan Fillion shows up and he's like, "Oh, well, that's not for you. Don't you worry about that." He's like, "Don't worry, it's encased in stone and you can," and she just like pulls it like it was sitting in butter. And as soon as that happened, he was like, Nathan Fillion was like, "Okay, so now I'm gonna kind of take you seriously."
Where does she find it at? I don't even remember.
So there's a vineyard, and then underneath, like in the cellar of this vineyard, remember Buffy and Xander and everybody show up to fight, and Nathan, then that's when Nathan Fillion kind of first appears and beats the shit out of everybody, puts his thumb through Xander's eye. You don't remember?
No, I
this?
do. You're just taking like 6 of my picks. Yeah, jerk.
Sorry. He does all this. You asked me where she finds it. She finds it there.
Yeah, he could have said in the cellar that they fought. But no, you got to go on stealing picks.
I didn't. That's not on my list. You can still pick it. I don't mind. So she finds it there, down in the basement of
I don't
there.
know. So did Caleb bring it?
I think it was there.
Oh, okay.
And he found it, and he was trying to get it.
But he was too weak.
Yeah.
Well, he was pretty badass in those fights.
He was super badass in those fights. And then Buffy shows up, and she's like, "Oh, what's this? One-handed. Bloop, bloop."
Oh, look, it's got a wooden spike on the end for vampires.
And then it's got a big fucking badass axe head on the other end.
That
chop your head off.
Plays a huge part in the comics, too. I think she still has it, doesn't she?
She has it. I don't know if she has it at this point. I think she has it for the first, because so in the comics, they're on season
10, I think.
Yeah, 9 or 10. And I know she had it for 8. And I think she had it for 9. I don't know if she lost it somewhere in 9. I don't know if she still has it, but
I need to get those compendiums and read them. I read season 8. It got kind of weird. Like Angel was weird too, but
then she started. Yeah, then she got herself a girl. Buffy got a girlfriend.
Yeah, she started liking the ladies.
Hello, ladies. Which is what we always wanted.
When I think of one Slayer slaying another Slayer, I slay myself.
Oh no, I gotta scratch that one off my list. So there's your badass. It's Buffy finding the axe, and it even has this epic music when she finds it, and she looks at it, and she's like, "Oh," and then it's like, "Oh." Yeah, it's dangerous to go alone. Please take this. And she's like,
All right, for my 5th round pick, Richard, I'm going to get a little mushy again. So this is going to be season 6, the season finale of season 6. So when this season came out, I was I think 15. And when the second half of the season started, I started working. So I didn't actually get to watch the rest of the season until afterwards, years later. Because I remember it being kind of hokey.
Okay, wait. Can I tell you a funny story? I used to work overnight as a baker at a
bakery,
like an older, an assisted living place.
Oh, okay.
I used to work overnights as a baker, and Buffy would come on Sunday, it'd be late at night, 11:30, 12 at night. So I was in this kitchen by myself, and since I was by myself, I went to one of the rooms and stole a TV and I'd grab a TV and bring it down to the kitchen so I could watch Buffy.
You'd steal it from one of the old people's homes? One of their rooms?
Well, it was an empty room.
I mean, they were sleeping at the time?
Yes,
they were
rude. Sleeping, and I stole their TV.
You're like, your kids don't love you.
Ooh, I'm the ghost of your husband. I want to watch television. I'm taking this with me, Florence.
Herb, kiss me like you used to. You're like, not there, Herb. Down there.
I have ghost halitosis. But yeah, I grab it too. And the reason I mention it is because that's when I started doing it, was season 6.
Gotcha. Started watching it?
Yeah, well, I was working there, so I grabbed this TV and bring it down with me. But that's how I watch it, like, week to week.
I gotcha. But yeah, so I didn't really watch this until coming back around. I think I borrowed these DVDs from you. And like Buffy season 6 like goes from like happy-go-lucky fun, and then all of a sudden it turns a right dark corner.
That season got gritty.
Yeah, about the time Tara gets shot. And like I didn't watch like 2 episodes before that, like when I first was originally watching it. So I didn't see this part. I remember kind of watching like, oh, this is hokey. I'm like, oh shit, just got real.
Yeah, it did.
And the part that I'm going with is when you see another brotherly relationship between Willow and Xander. Dark Willow at this point. She's
Willow.
like evil Willow. You know, her girlfriend just got killed. She's like, I am fucking killing everything. And she's going to destroy the world, Richard. And Xander goes up to the mountain with her. And he has no powers. He's like, you know, if the
nothing.
World's going to end.
Giles sends him.
Does he send him?
Yeah. Giles is the one that like puts him there.
I forgot about that part. I thought he went on his own.
No, because he like just shows up. It's like he teleports there.
Oh,
but Giles
I gotcha.
is the one that puts him there.
I see. But he wanted to go. Xander wanted to go.
Right.
But like he's going on about like how like close of friends they are, and basically saying how much he loves her, and like that friendship love, like that strong bond between two people. And she like tries to hurt him, and she does. She hurts him pretty decent. It's like you and me, Rich. Like you'd be like, Shawn, I love you. I go, shut up. You're like, ah.
And I'm like, no, don't hurt the one you love.
And then we'd embrace and be like, oh.
And then you're evil, Shawn, because you're evil, Shawn. And then you'd get. So wait a minute. So if I told you that I broke your crayon in kindergarten, are you telling me your hair would turn red?
Maybe. Well, no, he was saying like how she broke the crown and she hid it because she was too scared.
That's right.
I think he gave him his because she was so scared that like the teacher would get in trouble or whatever.
Yeah.
But this is just another moment that's what's great about like this is a relationship show, and this just shows that these two have such a strong love for each other. You know, it's not sexual. It's not like a relationship like couple love. It's a strong friendship love.
Don't you remember you told me love me, baby?
Baby, 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 oh, baby.
I love you.
So for my 5th round pick, Richard, I'm going to go season 6, the finale, episode 22, Grave, where Dark Willow and Xander have an I love you moment.
All right. My next pick. Are we on 5?
Yep. 5th round pick.
Okay, number 5. I'll go with a funny bit. You know, we're kind of in the middle. I've still got some room. So for my 5th round pick, I'm gonna go. So we started at the end. We're here at the end. We're gonna go way back to the beginning. We're gonna go back to the finale of season 1, and there is a moment that Buffy and the Master are fighting. Okay, and Buffy dies, but then she comes back. She dies for a second, and Xander's the one that saves her.
Because Angel has no breath.
Very good. So then Buffy comes back, and she's like, "Oh, I gotta go fight the Master." And they're on the roof, and they're fighting, and they're punching, and the Master tries to put his little mojo on Buffy, and Buffy walks over there, and he grabs her by the throat, holds her up, And he says some, evil maniacal thing. Blah, blah, I'm going to kill you. And what does she say to him? The one thing that the entire audience had been saying that entire first season.
Suck my dick.
No. That's not what...
Wait, maybe that was G.I. Jane. I don't remember.
Yeah, that was exactly what she said. Buffy looks at him with this, turned face and says... You have fruit punch mouth. And that's when that's like the turning of the tide. That's the turning of the battle. But he's like, oh, I'm going to kill you, blah, blah, blah. She's like, you have fruit punch mouth. And you know that everybody that was sitting there watching that is like, thank you. I have been saying that for weeks.
Was that because she died and came back? Is that why she couldn't be under his spell now?
I think so. That's the way I took it. That's the way I understood it.
Oh, I love too how they when she died, another Slayer was summoned.
Yeah, and it starts out. It's first it's Kendra.
Yeah, who was badass.
And Kendra was pretty badass.
That's what I love.
Died.
Yeah, that's what I loved about his shows is he's not afraid to kill somebody off.
No,
you're like, this new Slayer, she'll be around for crap, it's episode 6 and she's dead.
Yeah. Oops.
Buffy's mom will be around forever.
Oh. Oops.
Well, Angel will be around for...
Oh, he left.
He's gone.
And then in the finale, the Buffy finale, who else died? Anya died.
Yeah. Do you want to try and take any more of my picks, Richard? Do you want to just spout off all the deaths?
I'm sorry.
You jerk.
We're just two guys talking here.
No, I don't look at your list on our drive at all. Cheater.
Oh, drive? Oh, shit. That made life easy. Thank you. This is your pick. You're the one talking.
No, this was your pick.
Oh, this is my pick. Anyway, I'm just saying, fruit punch mouth comment I thought was funny. That is one thing that I think people have been saying for weeks.
Well, that kind of brought you back to the original movie because she kind of had that's something. I don't remember what the chick's name that was in the original movie.
Christy Swanson.
Yeah, it's kind of like what Christy Swanson said to the master of that movie. Didn't she have some snarky comment for him?
She did have some snarky comment for him, and I can't think of what it was at all.
Oh, I love that movie.
I really wish that movie would have been what he wanted.
Oh, I don't, because then we probably wouldn't have the TV show.
You don't think so?
No. I think we kind of lucked into it.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, I remember seeing on Dish or whatever we had at the time, I saw Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'm like, oh, I love that movie, and click it. I'm like, wait, this isn't the movie.
It's a television show. It looks like it's for girls. It's stupid. I don't like it. It's stupid. That's what I did.
Nobody's in the house. Oh, it's got girls in it, and they're showing their boobies. Sean, what are you doing? Nothing, Mom.
Leave me alone.
I told you not to come in my room while I'm watching Buffy.
Doing a spell by myself.
All right.
There you go. There's my pick number 5. Buffy telling the master he has fruit punch mouth. Fun fact: the actor that played the master, you can find him in the music videos. I say videos plural. The music videos of Twisted Sister, because he plays the square adult,
turn that music down.
Yeah, that guy. He's that guy in the Twisted Sister videos. He's the guy at the beginning of I Want to Rock. He's that guy that's like, what do you want to do with your life? And then they're like, I want to rock.
That's such a metal song, too, as I say with sarcasm. All right. 6th round pick, Richard. We kind of alluded to this one a little bit where we talked about Buffy's dad kind of showing up and not sure if it's real or not.
Yeah.
So, Richard, this is season 6, episode 17, called Normal Again. This was the episode where the bad guys
made me question all of my life choices.
Where the 3 guys summon a demon who has this toxic neurotoxin type thing. He stabs Buffy as she kills it. And she basically is going in and out of these different worlds. In one world, she's Buffy the Vampire Slayer, fighting demons with these friends.
Yeah, and it's awesome.
In the other world, Richard, she is in a psych ward. My moment is the very, very end of this episode because it makes you think like, okay, well, is this all in the mind? Is it all real?
Yeah, it's this whole it's like it's the spinning top at the end of Inception when you're like, well, is he in a dream? Is this real?
Yeah.
What's real? What's the damn it?
Because the thing is, she's sitting there and the doctor's like, listen, if you go back into that world, you're never coming out. Like, you're stuck in that world. And, it's the other way around. It's like, if she doesn't go back to that world, she's not going to be in Buffy Vampire Slayer world.
Yeah.
And so she decides, like, you think that's what she decides. Like, yeah, you're Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Go back and kill the demons. And that's what she does, Richard. You're like, okay, all is right in the world. The last scene, Richard, is a comatose Sarah Michelle Gellar as Buffy panning back the camera in a psych ward.
It's like the end of the movie The Craft.
Oh yeah, where they're like, oh, I bet she doesn't even have any powers.
Yeah, and then she's like, wah!
May the blood of Satan run over your bodies.
It's not all what she says, but that looked cool from my end.
But what I love too is like, it's never answered. Nobody knows like, okay, was it real? Was it fake?
Exactly. That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. It's the whole Inception bullshit because is it like you made that the last scene? Like if it was the second to last scene and you ended with Buffy in Buffy world as the Slayer, then it's like, okay, well that was a bullshit fucking that was the whole psych ward thing, that was bullshit world. But you end it with her in the psych ward. So I'm like, wait a minute. So is that really the real? Is this it? And this is like, okay, so I don't know if you remember. Do you remember watching Roseanne?
I didn't watch the end of it, so I don't really remember like how it ended.
Okay, so the way the ending of Roseanne goes is the whole last bit of the show is she wins the lottery and there's all this, and her husband Dan leaves and
Dan dies.
That's what happens at the end. You find out that Dan actually died and she never won the lottery. The whole thing was like a story she wrote. And that it actually, everything's the way it usually is all this other bullshit was the story she made up. So then you come to this and then you're like, wait a minute. Does that mean is this whole thing made up? Is this just like a fucking delusion in her head? Is Buffy actually just a girl in a psych ward?
Yeah, in a psych ward. And I guess that like does you have to question like, well, does that matter? Is whatever reality she thinks is real, is that good enough? Is that actual real reality?
Yeah. And then I'm like, I don't why are you asking me these questions? I just wanted to watch a television show. And watch a lady stake vampires in the heart. But do I get that? No. What do I get? Life questions.
Well, it's funny you bring up Roseanne. Do you know who was a writer on Roseanne?
Joss Whedon was a writer on Roseanne.
And he also wrote some comic books. And in one of his comics for the X-Men...
Yeah, Astonishing X-Men.
He wanted to put in a little throwaway line where Scott Summers, Cyclops, would say something about like, oh, yeah, I've got a sister. She's in a psych ward right now. She thinks she's fighting demons.
What?
Yeah, I think it got cut or didn't get put in, but that he said like he always wanted to put that line in there.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me?
No.
The world I live in where all these threads can connect or might not connect or might not even be threads at all. See, this stuff weighs. This stuff weighs on my head and my heart. Okay, I got to fix this.
All right, so for my 6th round pick, Season 6, Episode 17, Normal Again, Buffy in the Psych Ward.
All right. I'm going to go back into Season 5. Season 5 is apparently my honeypot here. I'm going to go back into Season 5. Shawn, I'm going to talk about Spike, which is somebody we have not mentioned.
Yes, we have not touched on Spike at all, have we?
Not talked about Spike hardly at all this entire podcast, and I'm going to rectify that right now. So, one of the coolest moments for me when it came to Spike was, I mean, he proved to be an extremely pivotal character, especially in the end. And the whole relationship with him and Buffy is a big giant thread of complicated mess that I'm not exactly sure I want to get into. Honestly, my favorite vampire in the show.
He's got a great arc.
I liked him more. I like him more than Angel. I think he was kind of like the fan. He fought for his spot and he earned it. He's the fan favorite.
Angel was cursed his soul. He went out and got his soul.
Fan favorite. Okay, so but the moment I'm going to talk about is there's an episode in season 5 when Buffy gets stabbed in the stomach with her own stake. And it's just not, it wasn't anybody special, wasn't like, Glory or anybody like that. It was just regular run-of-the-mill thing. Stabs her in the stomach. Ugh! And she almost dies. So then it kind of puts her in she feels like she's been put in check. Like it's kind of like rocked her world a little bit. Like I'm the Slayer, but this little wimpy thing almost killed me. So who's she go to see? She goes to see Spike, and she asks him, "You killed 2 Slayers. You're going to show me how you did it." And then the whole episode turns into a flashback of Spike back in the day,
yes,
taking out these 2 Slayers. And actually, at the time this episode aired, on Angel, they were also doing a flashback episode. So this was like the flashbacks were crossing over.
Yeah, because it was during the Boxer Rebellion when he was with Angel. Yeah. He's
with Angel and Darla and everybody. So the flashbacks cross over a little bit. But that's a whole separate thing. Anyway, so he kills the Slayer in China, and all I'm big badass vampire Slayer. I'm the vampire Slayer. But then he goes and he's in New York and he's fighting another Slayer in the subway car. And
that's where he got his jacket.
That's okay. So there's the moment. It's when he looks at her, he looks at Buffy in the flashback, and Buffy's standing there, and he's like, "This is it. This is a secret. Every Slayer has a death wish." And then he snaps her neck, snaps the Slayer's neck. And then he's talking to her, and as he's talking to her, you see him take the jacket off the Slayer, take the coat, and put on the coat. And then he's like, "All it takes is 1 second for you to not want to be around. And the second that happens, that's when I slip in." And then it shoots it, like it hard cuts back to the present. He's like, "The second that happens, that's when I slip in." I was like, "Oh, that's how he got his jacket." That was my thing. But I was like, God, he's a badass. And that's when they mention it way back when Spike first appears in season 2 that, he killed 2 Slayers and blah, blah, blah. But then they revisit it all the way back up here 3 years later. And then that's when you remember, like, oh, yes, I forgot. Spike actually fucking killed 2 Slayers.
Yeah, the continuity of that show is really, really good.
Yeah. So there you go. Pick number 6. Fucking Spike telling Buffy how that all Slayers have a death wish.
All right, so I want to finish mine it's kind of a sad note, but it's really like the first thing in this show that shows you that nobody is like death is a huge part of this universe.
Okay.
Season 2,
all right.
Episode 17. It's titled Passion. Do you remember a character by the name of Miss Calendar, Richard?
Oh, yeah.
So she's working all night at the school. She just translates the spell to give Angel his soul back. And who's in the back of the room?
It's Willow. No, wait, I got this. Oz. It's Oz.
Yeah. He's playing his guitar. There's kind of a teacher-student relationship going on.
I'm so good at this.
No, it was Angelus. And he breaks the computer, the flash drives, Richard, falls in between the cabinet.
Was
and
it
the
a
desk.
flash drive? I thought it was a disc.
Oh, it was a disc. Yeah,
It was a floppy disk.
floppy disk. Yeah,
Yeah, because we
3/4
live
one.
in we lived in 1998 then.
yeah. Flash drives are what are new.
Yeah.
And so she takes off running, and Angel chases her, and you're like, oh, she's gonna get away, like she's gonna run into Giles or Buffy or something. He catches her in the hallway. You're like, oh, how's she gonna breaks her neck, kills her, like it's so gruesome when you rewatch it.
Yeah, and he does it with glee, with a ear to ear grin on his face.
Oh, because he turns around, he's like, oh, I'll never get tired of doing that. Like,
Yeah.
oh God, this is not for me because I'm 12 at this point. But I mean, that was like the introduction to like this show will kill anybody because Miss Calendar was around for like 2 years. She was a main character.
I thought she didn't show up until season 2.
Maybe it was
But
season
yeah,
2, but she was around like a bit. It felt like a bit.
Well, she was pretty pivotal.
Yeah, her and Giles.
Yeah, and then what happens? What happens to Miss Calendar after she gets her neck broken? Shawn.
Yeah, Giles comes home to some wine and some flowers and petals and walks up there, and there she is in
It's
bed.
so sweet, and it's all nice.
Funny thing, when I was watching these to kind of catch myself back up,
Uh-huh.
in that scene where Giles finds her body, he's like, the police are like, hey, we need you to come downtown to make a statement. He's like, yes, of course. He's like, I need to make a phone call. And in the Buffy episode where she comes home and finds her mom, she says the same thing to the the person on the phone, the 911 operative.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, I need to make a phone call, and hangs up on her.
Oh, look at you. You are closing the gap. You're bringing it back around. You're going back to pick number 1.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Like I said, the continuity of this show is amazing. So for my 7th round money shot pick, I'm going to go with season 2, episode 17, Passion, the Death of Miss Calendar.
How should I end this? You know what? I'm going to end this on a combination of badass and funny. And this is something that I think we had been waiting for, and it never happened, and it finally did at some point, and we were all like, about goddamn time. Shawn, for my money shot pick...
Xander losing his virginity. The face.
Close. But I'm going to talk about a bad guy, the vampire to beat all vampires. Shawn, I'm going to talk about Dracula.
Oh, I almost put this one on my list.
He says, I've been looking for you. And she's like, well, who are you? And he's like, oh, forgive me. I am Dracula. And she looks at him and she's like, get out. Like, he's a rock star. Like, that's like what he's being treated like in this episode. Like, Dracula is like the rock star come to town.
Well, she makes the comment, she's like, are you sure? Because like I fought like 7 Lestats. I love Spike in this one too, because he says something like, oh yeah, I've gambled with Dracula a few times. I think he owes me like $100.
Yeah. And then Xander becomes his little toady.
Yeah, he does.
And he's eating bugs.
They never really touch back on that because she kills him, but he keeps coming back.
Yeah, I think because like he wants to take the Slayer away, and then the Slayer like stakes him. So then he's like, well, you know what? Fuck this. It's not worth it. I'm Dracula. Not worth it. It's just not worth it to me.
But like he becomes a pile of ash, but then starts like floating back up. She's like, don't you think I've seen the movies?
You always come back. And then Xander shows up at the end. No, okay. So Xander becomes like the little toady and brings the Slayer to Dracula's castle. I say castle in quotes. But then Giles and Oz show up. Or no, Giles shows up, and then he gets locked in with the brides. The brides of Dracula.
Right.
And then he's all like, he's getting all sexed up by 3 lady vamps, and Oz has to pull him out of that. Then Xander finally shows up, and he's like, "Where is he? Where is he?" And they're like, "Oh, he's gone. We already got rid of him." And he's like, "You know what? I'm sick of this crap. I'm sick of being the guy that eats bugs and gets the funny syphilis. From this point on, it's over. I am done being everybody's butt monkey. And Buffy's like, got it. No more butt monkey. But yeah, like the whole, so he shows up and then she Buffy goes to talk to the Scooby Gang and then she's like, a bat. He turns into a straight bat. And then Willow's like, oh my God, was he all like mysterious and European? And at this point, Willow's gay. Willow's gay, but she's still like, Dracula though. I mean,
it's all mysterious.
Yeah. So the whole concept of that entire episode I loved was that Dracula was like the rock star that had come to town.
That's a good pick.
And that is my money shot pick, Sean.
All right.
I wouldn't even bother trying to recap these. It seems like it would be hard to do.
Oh, I can do it. But I've got them written down in a way I can do it.
Okay.
You have little faith,
All
buddy.
right.
I can do this.
I believe in you.
But I was going to go over a couple of my and buts. So I had the first appearance of Dawn. That one threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
Because she shows up and you're like, who the hell is this? The prom class protector. I thought that was a pretty cool scene.
That was cool.
Caleb's introduction when he's driving that truck and picks up the Slayer to be.
Yeah, that was kind of awesome.
Spike's death in the very last episode.
About the Caleb thing, I was gonna say that like at that point, like I don't know about you, but I hadn't seen Firefly.
No,
so I didn't
either.
know who the fuck this dude was.
Which I think would have ruined it if I would have seen Firefly.
Yeah.
There's Spike's death where he's talking about, he's like, I feel my soul, and she says, I love you. And he's like, no, you don't, but thanks for saying it.
God, you're a sappy bastard.
I know. The musical episode, we had nothing from the musical episode, Richard.
You know, I had it on my I had Spike's song on my list. It was actually
Let
the
me
second
rest in peace.
That was actually the second thing I wrote down.
And you didn't pick it.
And I didn't pick it.
I had Anya's death as Xander's running out yelling her name. Caleb taking Xander's eye. I had that one.
Yeah.
And then the Halloween episode where Buffy's a damsel, where they get the costumes and they take the persona.
Right. Yeah. And then Xander's the army guy.
Yeah. She's like, a car comes up and she's like, a demon. And Will's like, it's not a demon, it's a car. Buffy goes back and says like, well, what does it want?
Let's see. What all did I have on my list? I had I had Spike talking about his blooming onion.
Oh, that's a good one, yeah.
If you tell anyone about this, I'll bite you. I have Giles killing Glory. Because Giles is the one because we were like, oh, Buffy beat the shit out of her. Giles is the one that kills her.
Doesn't kill her, kills her brother.
Well, kills Ben, the human that she's trapped in his body. But Giles is the one that kills it.
Well, yeah, so he basically kills like an innocent person.
And a god. Giles kills a god. He's badass.
Because Buffy wouldn't kill an innocent.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Giles is metal.
Like, but she's not me. Ben's look on his face when that happens, he's like, oh, yeah, no, good thing I get to. Oh, God. Shh, sleep, Ben.
I have Giles in the car talking about how much he hates Americans.
Yes, I saw that. That was pretty funny.
Do you like my mask? Isn't it pretty? It raises the dead. Americans. And then I have Buffy talking to the Watchers Council about what the definition of power is.
Which part's that? Is that where they took away her power?
No, it's where she's talking to the Watchers Council. They're all gathered inside the magic shop. And then she's like, you didn't come here to see if I was good enough to be let back in. You came here to beg me to let you back in. Because this is about power, and I have it, and you don't.
Buffy out.
Yeah.
All right, well, let me see if I can recap this a little bit. So for my first round pick, I have Does Life Get Easy? Second round pick, I have The Body. Third round pick, I have Sexy Vampire Willow. Fourth round pick, I have Xander Makes Fun of a Demon. Fifth round pick, I have Dark Willow's Xander Moment, I Love You. Sixth round pick, I have Buffy in the Psych Ward. And seventh round pick, I have The Death of Miss Calendar. For Richard's first round pick, he had Giles presents Hush the Giles presentation. The second pick is First Appearance of Glory. Third round pick is the moment Buffy and Xander dream sequence, realizing they're brother and sister. Fourth round pick, Buffy finds the Slayer axe. Fifth round pick, Master and Buffy fight. You have Fruit Punch Mouth. 6th round pick, Spike shares how he killed 2 Slayers. And the 7th round pick, Dracula comes to town.
Yeah.
See, I can do it.
You.
Thanks.
Proud of you.
I'm a pro at this, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Done
Do you
enough.
have any Richard's closing thoughts here for this Buffy anniversary episode?
No, I got nothing because, I mean, the show is what it is. Go watch the show. It's on Netflix. Go watch the show.
We should do a Buffy we should do a Buffy podcast.
We could.
Review each episode. I'd be down for that.
I'll have to think of a name.
Mr. Pointy. The Tales of Mr. Pointy. A
Tales
Buffy
of
the
Mr.
Vampire Slayer podcast.
Slayer's Companion.
All right. Well, while you're thinking of that, let me do a little bit of housekeeping. Visit our website. We're at languageofbromance.com. Follow us on Twitter at languageofbro. Email us at eatthebeaver@languageofbromance.com. Check out the LB Army intelligence reports. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe and leave a review on Google Play Music, iTunes, and Stitcher.
And don't forget to check us out on the Pod Bros Network.
In every generation, there can be only one podcast network.
And
By
by the band Nerf Herder.
And if you want to throw a little money in our Slayer tip jar, go to our Patreon accounts, www.patreon.com/languageofbromance. All right. Was there anything else before I close her out?
Oh, I didn't mention the monster manual. There was a moment I had where Xander thinks he finds a monster, and they're telling him that he's looking at the monster manual from Dungeons and Dragons. So there's that.
Nice.
That's it.
All right. Well, that's all the Bromance have for this show. I'm Sean.
And I'm Richard.
And I say we eat the beaver.
Yes. Let's slay the beaver. Wait.
Did I ever tell you that I had a bunch of pictures printed out of Sarah Michelle Gellar as Buffy the Vampire Slayer and had them hidden all over my room?
No.
Oh, because I didn't do that.
Oh, I did.